Hey guys, Surf Dog here.
Wipeout.
Welcome to the World Hacker Games, the ultimate MMA ring for cybersecurity. Today we have with us, right next to me here, the most badass CEO, totally changing the game of what it means to be a CEO, Miss Mariana Padilla.
Awesome. Thanks so much to be here, Craig. Thanks for the intro. Really, really pumped for this experience. We know deepfakes are top of mind for a lot of people, so this is very, very timely. But we
Yeah,
wouldn't be here without Ahmed. So, Craig, introduce the other person on
Ahmed,
the
the Code
screen.
Whisperer. Say hi, dude.
Hello.
And yeah, as Mariana said, this is the most intense episode we've ever done. We've got some cool stuff lined up. So, Mariana, why don't you introduce the hacking crew?
Yeah, absolutely. So, without further ado, let's introduce the hacking crew and the Validia team today. So, first up, our CISO co-host Peter Holcomb, founder of Optimo IT. Thank you so much, Peter, for stepping in today. Really thrilled to have you here with us today.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, awesome. And just wanted to give a quick shout out to Rock, who was unable to make it today. And so Peter stepped in last minute, but Rock also provided a lot of really great guidance. So wishing him well. So next up, we have our first red teamer, Meryl Vernon, known as the One Woman Purple Team. Say hi, Meryl.
Hi, good to be here.
Awesome. Our next red teamer, Jason Thatcher, who we met through the Tampa Bay Wave Cyber Accelerator, founder of Breacher AI, and a well-known expert in deepfake hacking. We're going to see what tricks he brings out of his bag today.
Hey, nice to meet y'all.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we would not be here without Team Validia. We have CEO Justin Marciano and Validia CTO Paul Van. Woohoo!
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're really looking forward to showcasing how your product works today. And with that, I'll kick it back over to Surf Dog, Mr. Elrod. Go ahead.
Yeah. So really cool today. We've got an awesome arena put together by the illustrious Code Whisperer. What's different about this arena is the targets. So normally we have devices and things like in a network that we're attacking. Today we're attacking people. The targets are people. So the red teamers, their role, what they're going to do is they're going to try to deep fake their way in. They're going to go into a meeting room like Meet, Zoom, Teams, and then they're going to try to deep fake their way and fool other people to get them to get some elevated privileges, and then they're going to go hack the organization. Not far-fetched. This is something. This is a thing, right? And then over here on the right, we've got Validia. So they'll be watching, and we'll get to see how their sort of defense and authentication mechanism works, and we'll talk about their algorithm. But that's what the red teamers are up against. They have to deep fake themselves in, and they have to get past the Validia defenses to get into the organization and get the flags. So that's what we have.
Yeah, awesome. So, Peter, why? Tell us about deepfakes. Why is this relevant? We want to know all about this.
Yeah. I mean, deepfakes are AI-generated videos or voice impersonations that mimic a person's appearance or voice. They're using neural networks trained on large data sets to replicate facial expressions or mannerisms in speech. As we know that this could be a very terrible attack, not only when it comes to hiring or business email compromise, but many different vectors. One that I really thought was super fascinating was last year. A clerk in Hong Kong of a multinational corporation wired $25 million to the scammers through a business email compromise that happened as a result of a social engineering attack, where she was initially impersonated and then told to go through a video conference room where the CFO and several other colleagues were AI deepfake generated. And then, in, pulling on that trust, she then went ahead and wired 15 different transfers to the respective bank account that then surfaced the fraud that happened as a result of this deepfake attack. So it's things like that that really we need to be looking out for as cybersecurity professionals, as business owners. So this type of deepfake impersonation that's happening not only through video but voice and other biometric techniques. This is the why we need to be very diligent, and we need to surface and build detection technologies that can help us be proactive about these types of attack vectors.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Validia team, what else did you want to comment on this? What are there's all sorts of examples of this happening now?
Yeah, absolutely. On Peter's point, we're seeing these deepfakes and impersonation attacks occurring across numerous different avenues. Something that's really top of mind for people in the cyber world today is North Korean IT workers and them finding their way into your organization through traditional hiring processes. And we've heard numerous accounts now of these adversaries using deepfake technology, whether it's on the background check process or directly inside of these interviews, for getting hired and becoming a trusted individual and member of that organization. And just for a quick statistic that I think I was even surprised to hear, the DOJ actually released an indictment earlier this year, I think in January 2025, indicating that 10 large enterprises in the U.S. have already for sure been compromised in these attacks, resulting in over $865,000 lost, and 64 other companies were targeted, with uncertainty around if an adversary actually found their way in. But I'll pass to my co-founder, Justin, for any other notes.
Yeah, no, I think Paul hit it on the head, but I think the one thing we always forget is that these technology is constantly evolving. What we're seeing today is, just the beginning and just the tip of, what is to come. The fact that, it all started essentially with, a Snapchat filter where you could put your friend's face on on yours, and now there's people being able to, change their appearance and voice in real time to, do malicious things. So we're really excited about what we've built, and really excited about today to show off, how we're able to defend against these very real and very realistic attacks.
I mean, you couldn't have, pivoted and introduced it better. Why don't we go ahead and move right into the games, Craig? Kick it off. That's a great way to kick it off there.
Yeah, so we'll just enter into the games in the arena, and really kind of want to have Meryl and Jason walk us through their process, the things they had to go through. So this is a typical CTF, red team, blue team. As you know, to compromise the system, it's not just one attack. There's several things you have to do to wiggle in. And these guys are probably the world's best at it, at deepfake technology and hacking in general. So we'll start with Meryl and Jason and see, talk to us a little bit about how you started to go after this problem, this challenge.
Yeah, when I got into the fray with Jason, he'd already done a significant amount of the pre-work that we would have done, such as first reverse image searching the are these LinkedIn profiles and sites out there. Is it a real person? We have to be worried about who we're copying. One of the things I do when I start to bake a LinkedIn profile to begin social engineering and phishing people is I duplicate a real person, immediately block them, and then add all of their friends, then do nothing suspicious for like 5 to 6 months. Just comment and interact normally, stuff like that. So Jason had a lot of this done. He had already acquired a typo spotted domain. So he actually came up with Hacker Games, GANNES.com, because from a decent vantage point, it looks like Hacker Games very closely. And then spun up the commiserate email inbox we would use to begin the phishing process. So Jason, do you want to comment on that anymore?
I think you nailed it. Yeah, it's 90% planning, 10% execution. So I think a lot of it is just reconnaissance and just making sure that you're hitting all the nails. So yeah, you killed it.
So wait a second. So you went out and you bought a domain name, a spoofed one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that, or hackers will often target what we call expired domains. So there's entire registries of domains that had been previously spun up, exhibited legitimate traffic and business activities, and were at one point someone's real domain, and they either let it go or the business folded or something. So you can either buy one of those and leverage off of the legitimate footprint it previously had. Because if you spin up a domain 24 hours prior and then start trying to phish people, oftentimes email gateways and filters will pick up on that and say, newly created domain, you're trying to reach out to 500 of my people, this seems sus. So you'll try and pivot off as many trust factors as you possibly can. Like Jason said, it's 90% prep, 10% execution. So you'll spend a lot of time researching your targets, making sure you've crafted the right syntax, the right type of campaign, pivoting off the right pretexts, and like having all that set up before you like actually fires missiles.
Yeah, but like, so can't you, like, are there blacklisted domains? Like, what if I spin one up and then it's suddenly blacklisted? How do I pivot? Do I have to rotate names? How does that work?
If they're only blacklisting your domain, then all you really have to do is have a backup domain ready to go and change some DNS records, some CNAME records, and you're still good. This is why we tell defenders, don't just blacklist a domain. You need to research it all the way down to the source IP if you can. Force me to burn all of my infrastructure, spin up a new set, and start again. If you're just blacklisting domains, you're making my job way too easy.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Hey, you guys have something to share? What's the next thing you did? Share your screen, show us something.
Yeah. So after we had kind of confirmed what the target would be, and Paul volunteered himself to be a target. Previously, it was a John Smith, who was just an anonymous profile. So then we went about actually having to craft the mask that Jason would wear to be Paul, and also to begin cloning his voice, because we knew that the parameters involved, we would be in a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, and that we would have to do some live deep faking. So Paul, do you want to talk about the process, or not Paul, sorry, Jason, do you want to talk about the process of deep faking Paul?
Yeah, let me, can y'all hear me? Let me show you real quick. So I've actually swapped my face on Paul right now.
Oh, wait a second.
I'm actually so used to seeing you with a mustache. It's weird to see you without it now. Like, I just think your face has a mustache because I'm staring at it so bad.
Wow, that looks really good.
Let me see if I can get a center on you there. Wait, that's me. Here, this is close enough. You see, there's Jason.
So the first thing we had Jason do was test the validity of the mask. We had him pass his face over his hand over his face. We had him take on and take off glasses. We had him try to drink beverages and see just where it would kind of shift and falter, and like what our parameters of operation were. Jason, do you want to kind of show them like kind of some of the messing around we did? So you've got it on right now, or is that your face?
No, this is my face.
Yeah, because I say you don't have a mustache right now.
It's much better.
Yeah. So yeah, so go ahead and talk about your prep process.
Yeah, so I guess let me screen share. We can walk through it.
Yeah, you got to show us, man. It's not that we don't want to listen to you, but
it was actually really cool. So we were, while during the downtime, while we're like waiting, we would be like messing with it and seeing like, can you scoot back? Can you come forward? Can you get up? Don't get up. Okay. And then the face is just there.
Wait, so let's back up a second. So when we built the challenge, typically CTS or hackers, they pick an entry point. And so there's actually a CTF running. So we have real world hackers going after this too. All we gave them was the link to this site. And that's all they needed. And then they're going to go from there. So go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. So a lot of nonsense, right? The premise of this is we're deep faking Paul right here, and we're trying to social engineer this person to get onboarded. So a lot of our reconnaissance is basically we have to do a deepfake live, deepfake audio, and again, it's a lot of planning. So we found a video. The irony here is really funny. It's a video about a deepfake dilemma where we found Paul and basically just extracted it using a tool right here, downloaded the audio file, converted it. A lot of pre and post processing, so scrubbing it, making sure we have the right audio clips, and basically just going through and extracting the audio using just a simple tool like this right here, finding where his voice is, and then training that in a deepfake model. So we're doing AI voice cloning. I think we got a pretty good sample of Paul's voice, and we use that to basically kind of prep and stage for the red team.
Yeah. Now, one of the tricky pieces here was we didn't know once we got into the meeting if we would be interacting with a bot who would be like trying to talk to us, like a Siri type voice, if it would be a person pretending to be Jessica, or if it would be one way. So Jason had to try to anticipate as many of the recorded responses he would need in Paul's voice as possible. So he had about, what would you say, 10 audio files of just like, hey, I'm Paul, I need to get onboarded. Sorry, just getting my bearings here. Let me, sorry if my connection's a little bad, like excuses as to why there might be glitches or lags or like any fuzziness in the audio or in the video. So yeah, that was really interesting to see. And then when we had to go about the process of actually getting a link to the meeting once we felt we were ready with all of the pre-prep. And let me tell you, I don't think people know just how often hackers fail. Okay, we fail a lot throughout the course of throwing a lot of things at the wall and seeing what sticks. So, you know, at first we're like, what would solicit? We couldn't get a response. So I was like, first, I'm just going to solicit a response. I'm just going to see if I can get this thing to ping me back. So we were going in and I was like, hi, I saw that you're recently onboarded an engineer. I'm also interested in working there. You know, I've attached my resume. You know, what do you think? And the bot came back and said, that's not a valid reason to send a Zoom invite. And I'm like, okay, so we've got a good premise. But we tried, do you remember any of the other things we tried, Jason, when we were getting no response at all?
Oh gosh, we tried so many different things. We tried different people. We tried different emails, different domains. We spun up a Gmail. It was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. I think the first one that worked was she said, that's not a valid reason to send a Zoom invite. I said, what if we hop on a quick call and I talk to you about my skills? And that's what got me the first meeting invite. And so then we got much faster at it. We had to stop and pivot several different times and do several different takes. And we got very quick at getting the meeting link after that. But that initial social engineer, Jessica's bot was not messing around, man. She was not having any of our crap.
Yeah, so I'm just going to back up a little bit. So what you did initially is you went to this website and you picked a target, and so you said, okay, Paul, he looks like he's new, and I'm gonna target Jessica. Mm-hmm. And then what you did is you said, okay, I'm going to fish this person, and you started sending emails to get into a meeting with her, right? Mm-hmm. And so then, if you were successful, she sent you a link, and then you hopped into the meeting, and then what? Was there some prep you had to do, or what happened after that?
So you know how there's always that polite little waiting room screen where you can before you actually join the meeting. So you click the meeting link, puts you in a pre-room. You can make sure your video and your audio is good, and you put whatever name you want before you actually enter the meeting. That's where we were like, okay, we're all gonna mute. We're not sure if it'll hear us, if that will trip it into knowing there's multiple people in here. We were all in a Zoom while he was trying to do this via Teams meeting. So we weren't sure what we were going to encounter, and we didn't want to trip it and fail automatically. We did know from a little bit of insight that we should expect to see, like we would see the Validia screen, and if we passed, there would be an ongoing authentication screen where we could kind of check our authentication status. But we didn't know who else or what else to expect. So we just kind of all went on mute and waited and let Jason get in there. And we were like, okay, do something. What would you say, Jason? Anything to add?
Oh gosh, trial and error. We tried some different things. I literally threw a water bottle across the camera to see if I could get it to work for motion. So yeah, basically we took the image from the page from Paul and then used that to do the DeepFake mask. And then I even tried agentic AI as well to get past the audio. So lots of different trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah. So once we were in the meeting and we saw the Validia screen, we honestly weren't sure what was happening, but the meeting will automatically send you a link, and that's an open link, interestingly enough. So Jason was able to share it with me, and I was able to check his status, and it'll show you the authentication attempts. It keeps a little log with its percentage of confidence in it just because you passed audio doesn't mean you passed audio slam dunk. It could be like 67.8% confidence that this is Paul. But so we were able to track that there, and we went for audio first. So he just I was like, just play all your files one right after the other and see if it'll trigger that it hears Paul. And that one was pretty easy, wouldn't you say, Jason?
Yeah, pretty easy. I'd say that one was the first one that we were able to get past, and then I think second was the liveness detection, right? We pivoted into liveness detection. So we basically try to pick off one by one and just systematically go through and figure out which one we could bypass.
We tried to stack them. And eventually we got really liberal. We were all off mute. We were all talking. We were like, okay, we passed audio. We don't care if it hears us now. Maybe because we checked that box already. We wanted to see if that box would revert, if it heard my voice or if it heard us colluding. It didn't. Once we had audio checked off, it maintained audio the whole time. So that was interesting to see. And then we went for liveliness. So we kind of had him start moving around and start just trying to take a sip from something and do all the adjustments you see people do on a call to trigger human movement. I recalled this documentary I saw on Terminator because they were using animatronic robots, they couldn't achieve human movement the way like a human would. So they often had to film with the robot on someone's shoulders who could walk with the gait of a human, and it would make the robot seem like it had human qualities. So I was playing off of that science, and I was like, it has to know that you can move like a human does, and you're not like you're not literally a robot. So that was what we tried to use to trigger liveliness. I don't actually know when we triggered that one. Do you? I don't know what the successful factor was.
No, I think the only one that we couldn't get past was the liveness check, I believe.
No, we got liveness and visual and audio eventually, and we couldn't get past the deep fake. I don't know what that metric entails. I'm looking forward to hearing this, but like, I'm like, it wants to know if we're using deep fake technology. So I was like, put the mask on and take it off a bunch of times. And he was like triggering his face. And I was like, maybe because we got visual, take the mask off completely and just be Jason. That didn't work. So I'm genuinely not sure how to get past the fourth metric, but we never authenticated. We never got
I think that's a really, thank you, Meryl. I think that's a good transition point too, because I would love to know from Paul, Justin, tell it, how did you design this product to address those different things and kind of, speak to what Meryl and Jason are talking to as they went through the CTF?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that we really implemented in the product as we've designed this and have really seen since the beginning when we started building Validia is that there's no one solution or one model or one form of detection that's going to give you an accurate success rate or a high success rate. We know we needed to look at multiple different things. And so on Jason and Meryl's point, we have 4 key modules in our deepfake detection and identity authentication. We have biometrics, so both facial and audio biometrics that look to identify people and rule out some deepfakes as well. We have our standalone deepfake detection, which is tuned to look for any sort of facial forgery or any sort of audio deepfake being used. So that's a model that we trained to look in these video conferencing scenarios for those things. And then there's also liveness, which is looking for, is there a real person on screen? And, funny enough, liveness is one that we built almost as I would like to say a second factor. Because, while our technology does a great job in live scenarios of looking and making sure that someone is who they say they are and matching their biometrics, the one fallback we had is if someone uploaded a real photo or a real video, well, that might pass because it's a real version of me. So the liveness module is built in there to make sure that someone's actually present on screen. It's not a recorded video or a photo being played, and there's actually someone there. But all in all, on Jason and Meryl's point, we built this again to make sure that, all 4 pieces are passing in this scenario to ensure that, again, we're looking at everything that we can to ensure the highest possible success rate. But I'll pass over to Justin here as well.
Yeah, no, I think in the beginning, what we really wanted to do is ensure that, like Paul said, we wanted to hit on a lot of different data points and not just go after and create a model that, allows us to be someone that decides or basically build a truth algorithm. That's a nearly impossible task, and we've seen others try to do it. And I think in general, our approach has been steadily kind of building more and more indicators over time to really, show the threat and kind of pick up on other signals that, a regular, deep fake might not, or could kind of surpass there. So I'll pass it back into the team and we'll jump into the demo.
Yeah, so this is super cool. 4 indicators. So you have, in order to get authenticated, you have to pass 4 of them. Question for the red team: did you get all 4? Were you able to authenticate in?
Not in our attempts thus far, but I'm excited. So, okay, something I want the audience to call the audience's attention to. So these little 4 metrics that you can't see very well on this screen right now, but how the mouse is hovering over one and it says voice. So voice and all of the 3 to its left, voice, liveliness, and biometrics, we consistently got. We couldn't trigger the 4th one, which is that little person. That is the one that is the deep fake tools metric. And so the fact that Paul, not Paul, I swear to God, Paul and Jason. I've spent so much time with Jason Paul now, it's hard. If Jason at one point triggered the 4th one, we know we can get the 1st one. So now I'm excited because that was the one we couldn't get. And I'm not willing to admit defeat yet. I'm praying for a miracle today. I'm praying for a Pwn to own miracle.
I've said it to you guys before. When I see all 4 green, that's when success is given.
Well, I'm extremely intrigued now. But something else interesting I want to call their attention to is see those authentication stamps down below that log where it says 99.9% accuracy. He got so good with the audio cloning that it actually, with almost 100% accuracy, tied him to the sample profile. And when we see sample profile there and not John Smith, we know it thinks he's Paul and not that it thinks he's John Smith or John Smith trying to be Paul. That confidence goes down. It starts to affiliate him with John Smith, which kind of sucks. But it's interesting to note that at least at first, it's highly confident that it's Paul. And the longer we try to authenticate, you'll see more and more of those stamps. It'll keep going. The audio confidence gets less and less. Maybe we'll see that in the demo here. So Jason, do you want to pivot over to the live demo and we'll see if we can get lucky in front of all these people or get embarrassed?
Yeah, he can do. And while he's doing that, I'm just quickly going to bring up another screen if I can. No, I can't. Sorry. I'm going to stop sharing that screen.
And Jason, do you have a fish email worked up or you need a quick little one-liner again? You got one?
No, yeah, I can jump into it. I expect to fail on this. We're going to have
no. Jason, look at me in my eyeballs. Look at me in my eyeballs.
Yeah. Well, this is what I wanted to
show us what you got. Yeah.
So the red teamers couldn't get all of them, but what it looks like when you trigger all 4 is this. So this would be a secure authentication. I'm validated. I am who I say I am. I've got all 4 indicators here, and so that's kind of how that Validia thing works. Anyways, Jason, go ahead.
All right. Okay, cool. I'll walk through everything that we did and just kind of recap, and we'll do it live as well. So first and foremost, we're going to save Paul's image. I've captured it right here. We're going to use this for the face clone. And I'm going to inject that into basically the webcam using a tool. And we're going to do reconnaissance as well. I found the video from DeepFake Live. Just for the sake of time, we downloaded the audio file, converted it to MP3, and then trimmed it for his voice using this, exported each of the files. And we staged the phishing email as well. That's good to go. So I'm going to send it. And we're going to wait for this response.
Oh, you're doing this live. Oh, okay. Nice. Here I'm ready to show screenshots and stuff. Okay.
Come back. I'm swap my face in the meantime.
Wow. See that live. Okay. So you just sent. So you got to fit. You're fishing this Jessica person.
Yep, we're gonna fish Jessica because she looked to be a manager, and we knew that Paul hadn't finished onboarding yet. So
perfect. I'm Paul.
Nice. Look at that.
You know what I mean? Why I keep calling him Paul? It's really messing with my brain chemistry.
It does do the mustache well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the mustache comes out really well.
It does the teeth too.
So you guys have seen this, but in practice sessions, Jason was getting frustrated because he wears his hair pushed back and Paul wears his hair down, and he couldn't get the mask to like pull from his hairline. So he was like, "Damn it, Paul!" And he was like trying to do this and like push his hair in front of his face.
Great.
For everyone watching, yeah, that's one of the interesting things about some of these live deepfake tools as well, is for the live face masks are not able to replicate hair or beards off of your face. Now, there are new tools that have come about, which are live lip sync tools, which actually do support that. So the tools are certainly moving forward in their ability to cover things like that, which makes impersonating someone much easier.
Yeah, but that, and when your window tile gets smaller, like when you are sharing your screen and then everyone's a lot smaller, you can't really tell that he's messing with the mask. It looks like he's just messing with his own head. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, these tools are built to be extremely realistic, and we're continuing to see them improve. We're continuing to see new ones released. If you keep up to date on LinkedIn, I would say on my feed, I see a new tool being used pretty much every couple weeks. And every time I see one, it looks a little bit better than the one I saw before. So these tools are definitely getting better and are highly accurate as they are today.
Yeah.
Jason, I see you got an email. Yeah.
We successfully fished Jessica, and this is a meeting invite. And here I am. It's Paul about to join the meeting.
Whoop, whoop.
Wow.
Wow.
Just wow.
Very impressive.
You disappeared. What happened?
You do have the hair a little bit down.
You need some gel in it, Paul.
It's weird. It's weird.
So
Look,
wild.
your guys' boxes are right next to each other for me.
We should all show up as Paul.
One of the next time.
As we're kind of waiting on Jason here to as he goes through this process, Peter, would love to hear your thoughts on this. And obviously, this is a new wave of technology. You're working with a variety of companies. What are you seeing out in the wild? And how is this impacting security scenarios? What folks are putting into place? OWASP? Anything that you want to comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. This has just been incredible to watch. But furthermore, I think the video deepfakes are one thing, but the audio deepfakes are another thing. And when combined together, it is a serious threat. And I think some of the things that people can do or businesses can do to make sure that they can at least detect some of this stuff is obviously train leadership to minimize, the amount of content they're putting out that could be used to impersonate said executive or personnel in their business or company. You want to use, and it goes back to training, right? Employee training and awareness is going to be paramount to teach staff how to recognize signs for audio and visual manipulation. And then the other thing I would say is conducting tabletop exercises with incident simulations about deepfakes and how you would handle such instances is a big key thing that I would focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Paul mentioned something earlier too with regard to how companies or new technologies are coming out for seeing how someone's voice lips move, right? That would be a detection capability, so that you could detect potentially is someone's vernacular, the phonetics of their voice, right, correct, and is it matching the actual lip sync? But if there's technologies that's coming out to supersede that, then it's going to be harder to detect, right? So I think companies like Validia here are on the forefront of being able to do stuff and stay proactive about the different attack type vectors that are coming out because it is changing so often, right? So there's not one safe way to mitigate all of this stuff, but certainly training and awareness for executives, for staff personnel, and then just understanding what to spot in general are at least going to give people a way to spot some inconsistencies that they may not have known about in the past. So I would just tend to hit on training and awareness, and then tabletop exercises. Readily test this stuff as part of a tabletop exercise during the incident response process.
Oh, Jason's telling us we need a moment of silence here. He's got to do some audio.
Cool. So I joined the meeting, and this is the authentication. So we've passed the liveness detection already. I'm going to do audio, and I'm going to go on mute real quick, and we're going to see if it can get past audio. So I'm going to go on mute.
Hey, it's Paul. I was supposed to get started today and complete my onboarding. Can you help me? I would like to get started. I was told to join a meeting with Jessica to finish onboarding.
Boom. So we just got past audio as well.
No. Okay.
Cool. So all we have left is facial biometric and then real person. We got a 95.3 on audio sample.
Nice. Okay.
So that's less confidence than in the past, but we are also probably all here, and it probably knows that. All right, for biometrics, was that where we had you like moving and like drinking and like interacting like this, or was that more?
Yeah, so this is where I chucked my water ball out of frustration. So I'm going to try a couple things. I'm going to try to reduce my face mask a little bit. I'm going to bring the top down.
And when you're doing this, we can't really see your screen, but you're using tools that are readily available. Like I could go download these and start doing this.
Yep, these are all commercial tools.
And it's worth noting as well that a lot of these tools are actually free. Not to say the one that Jason's using now is currently free, but a lot of the tools that exist are fully open source. People can build these out on their Windows, their Mac computers. And again, one thing that I think is really interesting is they've been getting a lot easier to run on even less powerful devices. So some of these before some of these tools wouldn't be able to run on your Mac, for example. You'd have to get a big GPU PC, but now some of these can run pretty well, actually, just on a normal day-to-day Mac device. So the technology is available, and it's becoming more readily usable by people in the space today.
I love Perry Carpenter's comment here. Going to show up as Paul from now on. I'm going to start doing that.
We all have that life goal.
It's going to be Paul.
If Jason had extra time, I was this close to showing up to this webinar as Mariana. I was going to go buy glasses and everything. And I know where you buy your glasses because you told everybody in a post about a week ago before RSA.
I did. I know. I was laughing to myself as Peter was like, make sure your executives aren't sharing too much on social media.
Exactly. This goes back to, all the podcasts we do, all the videos we do, right? I mean, our face is out there. Our voices are out there. And it only takes 2 or 3 seconds of the face, 2 or 3 seconds of the voice. And there you go. Right. I mean, it's too easy.
Yeah. I have a big digital footprint myself. All right, Jason, what are we seeing here? Do you want to talk through this?
Okay, cool. So I reduced my mask a little bit. I brought it down about halfway, and no difference so far. So still the same. I'm going to keep. Right, I'm actually going to remove my mask entirely.
And for context as well, what Validia is doing in the background here is we are continuously monitoring identity. So looking at video and audio feeds to determine if this is the person that we trust and that we should trust in this scenario. So as Jason's going about this, as he's moving around, our technology is still working. And if we're not seeing authentications there, it's because he's not successfully authenticating as myself.
Is it so on the tool that you're using, Jason? Can you share that, or is that screen not shareable?
Not shareable.
Okay.
But I can tell you, we just got past.
Okay, Jason, do whatever you did yesterday when I was not present that got you past the 4th one.
I will.
Getting full body excited.
I'll point out that we changed profiles, right? So, Paul, you'd mentioned that if we change profiles, that it could.
Yes. So one thing that we mentioned actually, like and is pertinent actually to this video authentication, is there were 2 profiles inside of our Validia platform today. There is one of myself, and then there's one of a fictitious person, John Smith. Now, all of the photos that were used for John Smith in the biometric profile that we created of him are actually AI generated photos. So in this scenario, if AI generated photos are used in those initial biometric creation, that is one of the areas where there can be a vulnerability or an area or way through our product. Now, how we prevent that in our enterprise platform today is all onboarding is done directly through our platform. And additionally, we have that DeepFake check as people create things there. But what you'll see on the page here is we not only indicate that, this person has been authenticated as an individual within the organization, we also attach the associated profile. So while, for example, Jason in this scenario was able to authenticate as this character, John Smith, he was not authenticating as Paul Van. And we are able to flag that there, as you can see in those authentications.
Perfect.
That's crazy.
So we've bypassed 3 so far. The last one is this aliveness detection. It's the only one.
No, that's the deepfake metric.
Oh, sorry, that's a real person. Yep.
You passed liveliness already. This is where we got stuck all those times. That's why when I saw on the screen cap he had triggered the fourth one, I'm like, wait.
Yeah, so the fourth one is our standalone deepfake detection tool that is hyper tuned for video conferencing scenarios. So in order for this one to show up as green, what we need to see is that there is no instance or potential instance of someone using facial forgery technology or fraud technology. Now, unfortunately for you, Jason, a majority, if not all of this call, you have been using this fraud and facial forgery technology. So the odds that this is going to show up as green for you are very low to zero. And so, yeah, I'll pass back over to you, though, to maybe continue giving it a shot.
Jason, when you got it yesterday, had you joined first without your mask and then put the mask on? So did you like pass that like real person metric first and then do the audio and the visual?
No, well, I took the mask off entirely about halfway through. So I've removed it now. So there's no filtering.
This was something we tried. This was something we thought of. We thought if we take it off completely. So we were trying to stack authentications. So we wanted to see, we got the biometric and the visual authentication as John Smith, but we wanted to see if we took it off and then just tried to bypass the deepfake piece, if it would revert those and say, but now that you've passed this, these two have grayed out because they are, one of these things is not like the other. Or if once you check a box, that box is good and we can move on and we can just stack them on top of each other.
Well, unfortunately for you guys, one thing that the Validia platform does is once we see or detect those instances of facial forgery or facial fraud, we make it next to impossible, if not completely impossible, for someone to then remove that and pass that check. So you either must pass it at the beginning, otherwise that check is destined to fail because we've seen that fraud. So again, our goal is to identify, again, if someone joins the call, because this is actually a common pattern that adversaries will use. They will try and show up and maybe flash a deepfake on or off to try and pass those checks. And then once they pass, they're able to go full on the deepfake side. We want to make sure that adversaries can't take that avenue.
So let me just ask a question then. So if we sit here and so he's trying to hack in, be Paul, at what point do you flag him as, okay, we've had enough of this guy, we're gonna de-auth him or kick him out, or what do you do at that point? How long does that take?
Yeah, so for one, it's completely configurable in our platform. Right now, there's options between 30 to 300 seconds that an organization can set. Our default is we will kick someone, or not, we don't kick anyone out. We will flag it to every member of the chat that someone has not been authenticated within 2 minutes. Now, obviously, this testing environment is a little bit different from our enterprise product as it stands today in terms of user experience. But in an enterprise product that we have today, we will flag all of the unauthenticated users within a 2-minute time frame. Now, again, an organization can tune that down to 30 seconds, especially for more of those high stakes scenarios as well. But the way we do it, we flag in the chat and indicate that there are additional forms of authentication that user can carry out. And so that's how we flag it today. And I'm seeing a question here from Perry Carpenter in the chat as well. And it's one we've actually gotten before. Do the Zoom and Teams, like the things like touch up my appearance or like the beauty filters that you can apply through Zoom, impact the deepfake detection? Actually, no, they don't. So one of the things that we did when we were building out this deepfake detection model is we specifically added in elements that we know are commonly used inside of Zoom and Teams. So those are things like those beauty effects, those touch-up effects. Another common thing that we see often that initially was impacting things was a blurred background because it introduces this aspect of something that we were not commonly seeing in videos. So we've definitely tuned as much as we can for those common scenarios and continue to look for new things that Zoom and Teams are adding there.
Yeah, perfect. Any other features, any other things that you guys wanted to touch on the product or let the audience know?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, what you guys are seeing here is just one part or one piece of our KYP or Know Your People product. When inside of the meetings, we're able to do this identity authentication, flag people in real time. But outside of that as well, we also have the ability to determine the location that someone's calling in from, determine if they're using VPN, proxy, or Tor to hide their location. And we see all of these things tying together really to serve the hiring and workforce security use case, ensuring that the people that you bring into your organization are legitimate and ensuring that no one's trying to impersonate your employees or find their way into your organization as a deep fake of your employees.
Yeah, that was a huge topic of conversation at RSA amongst recruiters. Was the deep fake problem, particularly nefarious in cybersecurity if these people are trying to get into the companies that are building the tools to protect us, right? That's a pretty scary scenario there. But anyway, just commenting that I heard that a lot at RSA.
Yeah, it's a big topic. And again, I think the thing that's top of mind for most people is DPRK IT workers. It's very talked about in the cybersecurity industry today. A lot of the CISOs that we have conversations with indicate that it's a big priority for them and something that there's not necessarily the solutions to rule out today. And so we're really excited to help people solve this problem and help identify these fraudulent candidates as they come through the pipeline.
Meryl, did you have something to chime in there? Sorry, I thought I heard you.
Yeah, all I was going to say was that every tool we have for defense and for the force of good, unfortunately, can be weaponized for various purposes. So we just got to keep in mind that every measure we create or innovate on to get better helps them get a little bit better. So we got to stay prepared.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing that I did want to mention, Craig, can you bring up that QR code, please? So if you are interested in getting your hands on the Validia product, please scan this QR code. I promise it's not malware, or I promise this is a legitimate QR code.
It's not deepfaked.
It's not sometimes malware.
So please scan this. Get yourself over onto the wait list for the POC. We have about a week until that launches. So the countdown begins again for the POC. So if you want to check that out, get your hands on the Validia product, test it out yourself. Here is the QR code to do that. Okay, Craig, you can put that down now. Let's round out with some closing thoughts. Peter, I'll kick it over to you.
Sorry, coming off mute. We need to be as diligent and as proactive about handling these deepfake technologies. I think the only way we're going to get around and circumvent or prevent these attacks, not circumvent, is having players like Validia and other deepfake detection technologies available to us to use. As we've seen here, demonstrated by Jason, Merrill, and the team at Validia, these things are so sophisticated that a human is not going to be able to keep up with the sophistication of these attacks. So using augmented technologies like AI or otherwise are only going to be the best course of action moving forward.
Awesome. Red team, Meryl, you're up.
I just want to say that I think this also punctuates the importance of mitigating not just downstream, but upstream as much as possible, catching us earlier in the kill chain, having there be a factor where we wouldn't have known that if we didn't come in with that factor first. In fact, I said in chat, we should do it again. And we pivoted on this multiple times. Repeat the flow, but come in without the mask first, then see if we can get the 3 we know we can get. It just kind of shows that you need to mitigate at a variety of points. No one factor would have been the key to success or failure here. And I swear to God, I'm good at my job as red teamer, but this is my favorite type of team. Ultimately, we failed. That means the product worked. It means, there was validation in there. And so happy to see it. Hope I see it more throughout more pen tests that come our way.
Absolutely. Jason.
This is great. Defense in depth, right? So I think this is a great solution because you're looking at numerous different vectors, audio, deepfake, and really, I think awareness is really important too. Just making sure people are aware that this stuff exists and this technology is at the point where it is today, which is a little scary to be candid. So just sharing awareness that this stuff exists, it's out there, and there's solutions, and defense in depth.
Yep, perfect. Craig, I hear you have something that we need to present to Team Validia.
Yeah, so just a huge thanks, and it's really bold and ballsy for Validia to put their product in front of hackers on a live show. It means, it speaks to the prowess and the confidence you have in what you're building. So here we are. You are now hacker certified. Here's your cert. Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And to Jason and Meryl as well. Thank you guys for taking the time to really test our product. I think on Jason's point, one of the most important things is people staying up to date with the technology that exists today. And I think that getting to see, experts like Jason and Meryl really showcase what that state of the art is today is the best way to keep up. So Jason and Meryl, thanks for one, testing the product, but showing people what is possible today.
Awesome. Craig, just take us out, please.
Yeah, I wanted to play some applause. We're gonna turn it up.
Oh, well, that too. But sexy French is more fun. You guys will enjoy sexy French. Also applause.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll just close out with some sexy French. Here we go.